Yeah, I love it. And I'm starting to look at the yeah, feel free, drop in the chat, again, like a little bit about you. I'm a sales, I run a sales consulting company. I'll get into that in a sec, but anything that's top of mind for you, just so I can make sure I kind of direct some of this that way so I can be as helpful as possible. So yeah, so what's up? I'm Jake Dunlap. I'm the CEO of SKALED. We are a sales consulting and strategy company. We work with really early stage kind of growing organizations. We also work with big corporates that are trying to modernize and bring a more modern technology focused approach to sales. So our clients are a real mix of rapid growth companies and companies that are established and trying to do something different. Usually it's around how do I do a better job of generating more leads across our org or a team or a territory? How do I drive more deals and create a more consistent playbook or methodology, or sales technology? How do I make sure that I'm not just doing all these manual things and I've got a team and we're probably doing a lot of manual stuff that tech exists to solve for. So we do kind of a mix of project and retainer based work, usually project, banded projects work to start to make sure it's we have clear deliverables. So that's me. So as you think about dropping some stuff in the chat here, you at least have some context. For me, I mean, gosh, where do I start? I guess, Troy, I mean, I'll go back a little bit. So I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Kansas City, went to college in Missouri, and then lived really all over. Started my sales career in Tampa with the Tampa Bay Rays, then moved to Phoenix and worked for the hockey team there, the Coyotes. Then got into tech. I was in tech at a company called Career Builder in sales leadership and national account roles for about 4 years. Left there to take over as the VP of sales and success and operations at Glassdoor. If you all know Glassdoor, I was then VP of sales at a few different VPs of sales and success at a few different startups, and started SKALED it's been almost 8 years, which is wild, with this idea to help companies with the different scaffolding components as they grow and as they scale. So, our team does a lot of tactical work, not just strategy. And yeah, I mean, that's like a very short version of the journey. There's like a whole bunch of like stuff in there of like this, right? Like life, right? Up, down, but that's the high level on me and my background.
That's awesome. So you've been basically the lead for a lot of different larger companies for sales and in the sales division, and you kind of create your own. What made you kind of, as far as a journey to get on to have your own company? Why did you do that versus not stay in the position you are? Besides maybe the entrepreneur spirit, but
Yeah, it's a great one. So this is a good one for all of you to listen to too. I didn't think I had an entrepreneur spirit. I never thought. I was like, oh, I'm going to start my own company. Like, I mean, good for these people that did know that early in their life. I had no clue. I just realized, Troy, I was a real shitty employee. Like, I sucked at politics. Like, I was amazing at the job, like building the team, creating scalable processes, growth. I sucked at politics, and to be a sales leader and success, a CRO, you've got to. I was like what 31, 32 at the time too, right? So that obviously contributed to this, but I did not. I just realized like I was not very good at it, like just naturally, like very not good at it to some extent, and I realized like I'm probably better to serve people doing the work, but not a part of their company. Like it's just better for me that way. I still act like an owner, right? I still act as if, and that's how like our consulting kind of has that vibe too, where our team doesn't act like consultants, they act like a part of the team. But yeah, it was like I got fired for the second time as a VP of sales, and for performance, I made our CFO at the time cry, which wasn't good, and I like, okay, well, what's the next step for me? I can go be a VP of sales again. I can go and make a lot more money. Because again, I had the track record of success. But like, what's going to be different? Okay, so great. So maybe I make it 4 years this time or 3 years. VP of sales, if you make it 2 years, you are in the top 60% of VPs of sales. You make it 3 years, you're probably in the top 90%. If you make it 4 years, you're in the top like 2%. And so especially if you're in like the tech world, So I just opted out, man. I'm like, why would I keep
So
doing this
basically, you're
this
saying that
thing?
you're a top-down individual, and then when someone asks you a question, you just told them the truth, and so you didn't play well with politics. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
You need to, yeah, and I've rounded some of those edges, man. I had some sharper edges, but that needed to be rounded. You know what I mean? But it is an important part of that. It's like the job, because man, when you're growing and scaling, whatever you're growing and scaling, the needs change so quickly. It's like you need to be a little bit more scrappy, and then you got to start to put in place the framework to scale. And getting that order of operations right is really important. And how you change the way that you behave within your group. Again, like, what does the business need now? And am I setting myself up? I have this analogy I use. I call it 80-15-5. 80% of the activities are doing things that are short term, 15% are midterm, 5% are long term. And are you always running your life like that? Are you always thinking about, I'm focused right now on the short to near term results, but I'm always planning for the midterm and then planning for the long term at all times. So then you show up prepared for that next phase, as opposed to you start that next phase. And I'll tell you kind of about my journey, some other things I think that are important. What I did a really good job of in my career, why I moved up so quickly, again, as a VP of sales at, a company that ended up selling for 1.2 billion at 31. And I prepared for the job that I wanted 2 jobs before I got it. And so I was putting in the work and the learning and the knowledge and the skill set. So by the time I was ready for an interview or promotion in a year and a half, I had already done the things that the VP said that they needed to see. I had already done the things that a CEO needed to see. And too many people in their career, they're not intentional about I call it the next step. Most people have a good idea of where they want to go next. And you don't have to have it all figured out about exactly what the next role is, but you do need to think about the skill sets that you have today. And are you doing the things that you need to do to get you to that next step? Because you need to start to prepare for that today. And I think that's a lot of things that a lot of people don't do that I did a really good job of in my career. Was I was always doing the job excellently I was in, but also preparing myself in things that might have seemed trivial or not relevant to what I was doing now. So when the opportunities came, I was prepared. And too many people, they expect an opportunity to come and then you get your shot. That's not how life works. How life works is you got to prepare, so when the opportunity shows up, you are ready for that opportunity.
So I imagine if you had a full-time gig, you're pumping in as a lead sales individual in the whole company, a VP of sales. You must be putting in like 10 hours at least a day, at least. And then you went home and you learned a bunch of new shit, right? Basically, that's what happened. So you didn't have much of a personal life, did you? How'd you make that happen?
No. Well, I mean, I got married during that time. Let's see, I waited to have, I've got 2 kids now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's the alternative? I guess it's like, I struggle with that. It's a good question. I don't know. I'm like,
Well, she's
why
got to be
wouldn't
a
I?
good woman to kind of not have the time. You got to think about that. Like, women want your time.
Yeah.
And it's not just money. Like a good woman, they're going to want your time. So she's got to be really understanding to deal with you during that transition, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, you have to be smart about it. I think the key is too many people, they're actually, I'm trying to think, like, I don't think my wife would describe it that way though. I don't think she would. I
I
think she
love
would
her.
be like, I would be, because look, the thing is, here's what happens in a lot of relationships. Okay. I didn't know we were going to go here, but I'm kind of excited that we're going here. This is, I love this. People, I thought about writing this book called The Relationship X. Okay. And here's how the X works. Okay. The guy starts out in the relationship acting like, oh yeah, they are like, whatever, I'll do this stuff, yeah, whatever. And then the woman's like, oh my gosh, you like football and beer? I love football and beer. Oh, you like that? Oh my God, I like that too. And then over time, it starts to come down. And then the guy's like, oh wait, now I'm more into this, etc. And it's because like we kind of like aren't the same person. And then it's like, and then like the things that you want later in life, you didn't portray those things to that person up front. You portrayed it like, oh, I'll come over and stay and make all these sacrifices. Nope. I was on a plane. I was traveling. This is what it is. This is what you're signing up for.
So
So
keep
me and
it
my
on
wife
the low first.
never had that. We never had it. Like, she knew what it was. I would be miserable if I was doing something not like that.
Yeah.
And she knew that early on. So I think a lot of people, there's a relationship misalignment, and then they wonder why later there's this big gap, because we were two different people whenever we were in the courting phase and in the getting to know each other phase.
And also that you're just growing up. I mean,
Sure.
men are like children till they're 30, and then they just start like, oh, I got to start thinking about adult stuff. And not to didn't shoot down men, but they're just living life until they hit that age, and then they have to put shit together. Make things happen. Very interesting story. So you had this company for what, 8 years?
Yeah.
You're saying Scaled, which I love the name, by the way. This is
Yeah.
I knew you
Yeah.
for a while, but I didn't know the company name, so I didn't personally know you. And I said, "Oh man, that is such a great name, right?" And I imagine you start very small. And did you just pike up and grow, or did you have some ups and downs during this time of these 8 years?
It was all perfect. It was like this beautiful growth with no turnover, and cash was raining down from
Yeah, it
the
doesn't sound
heavens.
sarcastic at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect. Yeah, I'll tell you some of the mistakes, and I don't know. I mean, do we have entrepreneurs on here as well too? We've got people that are, like I see Fadi is, helps entrepreneurs profit. We've got some accounts receivable. Like, it would be helpful for me. I'd love to know more and more about kind of the crew that we have here. Just so because I can try to, like I said, I can tailor some of the feedback I give around like the ups and downs. Um,
I was being
for
mindful of your time. If you want, we can do our introductions so you can get a good idea of everyone. But I just don't know how much time you have.
I've
Um,
got an hour, man. So I mean,
oh, okay.
if everyone wants to, I mean, or they can just drop it in chat too. That's easy. If you just
Yeah.
even if you just drop, everyone just drops in chat like name, role, company, or like what they do, like what Fadi did. I thought Fadi is just like, this is perfect. I can just like look at this thing, and like
Hmm.
I know exactly how to take this talk. So that might be easier, just because I know we got a lot of folks here. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, the
Jake,
ups and
we
downs. So,
connect.
yeah,
Sorry, Jake, we connected on LinkedIn in 2018. It's kind of interesting that we actually get to
here it
talk.
is, man. That's how it is,
So,
dude. LinkedIn. I
uh,
can talk about LinkedIn all day. That could be a
right.
whole other section that we talk about.
So, a question for you, Jake, if you don't mind. It's actually a common question that I ask myself, and then I start getting a lot from when I'm meeting people. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Oh my God, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I feel like a lot of people spin their wheels when they first start up a company, and are their focus is like between putting the foundation and selling, and kind of back and forth what to do first, lay down the
Yeah.
foundation, or just go out and make it available and then provide what needs to be provided afterwards or before. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Jake?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Depends on the it depends on the business too. So thoughts
totally.
on when to sell and when to really just lay down the foundation.
Uh, well, I think in the early days, you got to kind of sell first and ask questions later. Like, like without customers, there's no business. So you kind of, but I'll tell you the mistake. It's actually kind of dovetails with the question that you'd asked too, Troy. Um, what I didn't do, what I was dumb about early on, is I didn't do a good enough job of like, after we would do a project, like relentlessly documenting and building templates. I feel like it's like taking that extra 10% of time to again save. I think I'm much better at this now because I've realized it's an issue. Um, but yeah, that's how I would think about it. It's like sell first, build templates as you go, right? But with the caveat of vision, and again, I'll just tell another story. I don't really, even though I started a company 8 years ago, it was really 2017 when we started to really kind of get our shit together. And I think it was, those first 3 or 4 years, I don't think I really had a vision for what I was trying to build. It was like, look, I love sales. I love talking about it and building it. But, it was pretty much like, hey, if it's a project and it's sales related, we'll do it as a consulting firm. We do a trainings. And so I remember in 2017 specifically, we made a decision. We're not going to do sales trainings anymore. I'm not interested. Why? sales trainings, we come in for a day, people lose their minds, and then what do you think they do after? They go back and do the same stuff. Sales is, think about how crazy sales is. It's the only part of an organization that thinks to solve a problem that you do a 1-day thing. Like if you have a marketing problem, you're like, yeah, we're just going to take a course on Google AdWords and like, done, right? Or like we have a finance problem. Oh yeah, we're going to take a course on gap accounting for a day, right? So I'm like, sales training is not interesting for me, and then there was like other things and like whittling down to like, this is who we want to be. And now today we're clearer than we ever have been about creating the future of sales. And so I think those are the two big things early on. It's like, get clear on your vision and who you are and who you aren't. And who you aren't is just as important as who you are sometimes. Because that, for a lot of people, as you're kind of figuring out, like, I'm not sure, I actually found it maybe a little easier to think of the things I didn't want to do. And that helped me to kind of hone in on what I actually enjoyed doing and wanted to do. And then, and then just to kind of reiterate, again, it's, I would say focus on sales first and then building templates as you go. Because the alternative is like you're building templates for mythical customers that don't exist. So, give yourself the extra 10 to 15% about that. So I hope that helps. Maybe.
As far as your customer base, do you have a typical, and forgive me, I'm not the best sales guy. I'm kind of the kind of the LinkedIn nerd, right? You probably have both of those DNA elements in you. But when you're trying to identify your client customers, because that's what you do as far as the sales for them, are there customers you don't deal with? Is there a certain size, certain type of personality, certain ethics? You have to like them, those type of questions.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, because I think I came from a sales background, I'm able to kind of bend maybe a little bit more than most. Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, I told the stories about my politics issues, so maybe I'm not as flexible as I like to think sometimes. I'd say we probably don't work with very many first-time founders, because first-time founders think they know everything. It's not until you get, most of our clients have been, this is their second company they're building, or they're big enough to where they realize like, it doesn't matter. There's no reward for you being the one with all the answers. The only reward is getting it right. And I would say we don't work with a lot of like first-time founder, 26 years old, just raised 5 million, because that person at times thinks they got it covered. Amazing. You got it covered, dude. You got it all figured out. You just raised $5 million. Good for you, dude. Amazing. I'll talk to you in 2 years, right? And then things will break, and then you'll realize it. I mean, I had the same hubris at points in my career too, right? I'm not immune to it. So I think personality-wise, we can get along. To me, it's about the project. If it's about scaling and fixing and optimizing or building, I don't know. I think I get excited about a lot of stuff. I'm like a very easily excitable person. And so I find excitement in a lot of different client types and customer types, whether, we worked with a Fortune 100 nuclear power company with their parts division. Like, that was cool and interesting. Like, this is random, so, and then we work with, Canva, right? Or LinkedIn or Microsoft. Like, so, companies that are, going from 5 reps to 30 reps in, a year. So I don't know. I like the spice of it. The variety actually is like, it plays well to like my personality and what I like to do. But no, I just say usually it's like, if you don't think you have a problem or you think you can solve it, then why are you hiring a consulting firm? Like, just go do it yourself. Like, you have all the answers. So why are you coming to me? So we've learned that over time.
So these companies, these mid to large size companies, are you coming to you just because of your experience and you're just known to get things done? So I'm kind of curious on the ups and downs as far as not the client, so to speak, but the bobbing and weaving to make those things happen. Because fundamentally, sales is kind of the same thing, but in actuality, the steps in order to do something for one thing or another may be quite different. Do you find that things are changing really rapidly, or what's your opinion on all those? I don't want to say unknowns, but all those changes that happen pretty rapidly in your.
Yeah. There's a few questions in there. I'll tell you, like from a business standpoint, I had the sales thing down, right? Like, I was able to start to get customers relatively quickly. What I didn't figure out until recently is also having the fiscal control component, that as you become a CEO and as you start to really run a company, multi-million dollar company where your payroll is also multi-million dollars, just keep selling shit stops becoming a good strategy, and like stop spending money also becomes the other part of the strategy. So that's something that I've had to improve quite a bit, is my kind of holistic view of the business, not just like the sales component, because the fiscal control component also determines how much money you make. So that's kind of that portion of it, is like, at least for me, is that's been probably the biggest evolution, is when you go from being really good functionally at one part of the role to having to be okay at enough and then hire people. That becomes a really big part of it. And then with sales, sales is changing dramatically. Like, I don't know, again, I'm looking here, let's see. All right, Stu's got some no code stuff. That's cool. We got some other folks in here. Okay, yeah, we got like a mix of folks. This is great. So here's the big ways that sales is changing. One, it's all like this. It's mostly digital. Face-to-face isn't coming back for the foreseeable future. The problem is most people don't understand how to actually engage people in a setting like this, right? They don't actually create an environment that's collaborative with their customer. And so that involves things like, hey, what are you doing ahead of the meeting, to get people excited? Again, maybe we can spend the last 20 minutes, because I know you guys talk a lot about LinkedIn, so we can talk about LinkedIn. What are you doing on LinkedIn to connect with your buyer circle and engage with them in real time? What are you, and then during the meeting, are you doing a screen share with them to where you're kind of collaborating? We just started using this new tool called Mural, Mural, and another tool called Recapped.io. Mural is like a digital whiteboarding and digital note-taking, like a app. And so imagine, like, I pull up a canvas and we're moving sticky notes around, or I'm doing a whiteboard like I would if I was like with a customer. So imagine those types of things. And then afterwards, am I connecting on people with LinkedIn? Am I using Sales Navigator to sort that? And then every morning I come in and I look at lead shares and I go and like and comment on everybody who is in my buyer circle for my top deals. It's that type of stuff. So if you are not doing, everyone is going to be doing exactly what I just said by the end of this year, because it's going to be required, because people are tired of just sitting here. We're talking, blah, 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 your Zoom number 10 today, and I just move on. You have to learn how to get people engaged. I was talking to somebody. Sales has one of the most difficult jobs in front of it this year, because now one of the most important roles of sales is getting people off email. I need to get you to stop typing for 5 seconds to actually engage in a conversation. I heard the click class. If you're not doing that, then they're not paying attention to you. Like my friends, like most of your sales pitch, you're so focused on yourself. You're so focused on your pitch and your delivery. You're not paying attention. Like I'm reading. I'm like, okay, all right, what's Greg? Greg wasn't looking at the camera. Now Greg's looking at the camera. I see that, right? I see Selena. Selena smiled at something that I just said. I see Chris. I think Chris is typing. I'm pretty sure. Like I see, like I am reading these people, and I'm going to adjust the level that I engage based on the audience. And too often we're so in our own head that we're not thinking about that. So to me, if you ask me, Troy, like the big trend in sales, how do you get your people off email and engaged and paying, and like here, like we're here, like you're with me, we're here, we're talking.
In the moment. How do you keep them in the moment? Yeah, that's very, very good advice. I think I've heard it before, but the way you're explaining it kind of sinks in a little bit, because I know that I'm not as animated. I don't pay attention. I'm more functional, and that's a problem. And so it makes sense. You can tell who's engaged, who's not, and you can also tell who's going to actually execute the things that you're conveying or build a relationship through that. I can tell you how I got this Zoom thing started, and I just started a few months ago. I was getting too many meetings, right? And I own the business, and I got other people that do stuff. But right now, I got to slowly move the position where I'm running the business and I'm not, I'm on the business and not in the business all the time. And so I said, oh, it's great to have a Zoom so I can kind of reduce my meetings. That was the original intent. And I said, oh, all this information that I don't know or I'm learning, I could use as material, and it's helpful material. And then I had another Zoom. I'm zoomed out myself. I had a meeting earlier, and they're talking about, and we're talking about last month on streaming platforms. So it's kind of evolving where right now this is just a small Zoom meeting, but now they're going to run multiple streaming platforms at the same time. You're getting a larger audience. You're 5-10xing it and that sort of thing. And those things are pretty exciting. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the direction I'm heading into. I do a lot of those LinkedIn things that you're talking about. I would love you to talk about it because you may have some very specifics for us. But I just want to kind of tell you where my head is, and if you have an opinion on that, I'm all ears.
Love it. Yeah, go for it.
Well, I kind of told you what I'm kind of going towards. But as far as the LinkedIn stuff, I help a lot of clients try to get their brand out. It's really about their face and providing value. So we try to produce very short clips that is not selling, so they know their face, they can hear their voice. And we tie that in with outreach on LinkedIn, rollover email, well written. So when we onboard a client, we have a number of meetings to make sure we're targeting properly and all that sort of stuff. And we even have people that reply for them. And so getting that voice is right, and then moving that off of LinkedIn in some capacity. So that's a very high level thing that we do. There's a lot of little components, a lot of safety that we do, but I think you get what I'm saying. And of course, we engage with the post and we reply and we move that in a direction when appropriate.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, I can definitely try to give you our best practices and like what we've done and how we use leverage LinkedIn. So for me, I don't know how many of you follow me on LinkedIn. I feel like I should put my, I don't know, my LinkedIn profile in here. But if you don't follow me, I don't know why. Now maybe you'll follow me after this. Maybe like, well, I didn't follow you before because I didn't know who you were. And now you're like, oh wow, like this guy knows what he's talking about. So I post, and I'm going to give you a little bit of the story on LinkedIn first. So in May of 2018 is a very specific time because we did an ebook on GDPR. GDPR is a law in the UK and EMEA that talks about what you can and can't do with reaching out to people cold. And this is a beautiful little ebook we put together. It's 10 pages. We spent a lot of time on it, and then we put it out on social, and it's like, eh. And what I realized is like, look, in today's day and age, nobody's trying to hear that shit. People want bite-sized insights, and then they want to go on and do something else. And so I realized, I'm like, you know what? Why are we spending all this time? Why are we spending all this energy on this long form blog, that type of content, when in reality, people want snackable value? Oh. Did I lose you guys?
Yeah, I think no. I actually cut something off that was sucking up some of my internet. So hopefully, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's part of it's me too, though. Hold on a sec. I'm going to try to do a couple of things.
We heard you.
You heard me? Okay, all right.
Yep, not a problem.
My video is going kind of weird. So anyway, point being, I started to do organic content. So I post on LinkedIn. I posted every day on LinkedIn for 2 years, maybe more. Now I post pretty much regularly 2 times a day. I average. I don't know what I'll end up averaging, but I had over 11 million views on my content last year. My goal is to get to hopefully 15 million views so I'm getting over 1 million views a month on my content. We're generating millions of dollars of organic business every year from LinkedIn. And I'll tell you, and it's because I add.
Just do LinkedIn, right?
That's just LinkedIn. I mean, we get business from a lot of other places, but that's just on LinkedIn. 11 million views just on LinkedIn. I had one post, again, people like my post went viral. I had one post last year that had 2 million views, one post. And so then the rest of the posts, I mean, most of my posts will get like 20,000 views. And again, I'm putting out 1 to 2, not both posts in a day, but at least one of them. And it's all about giving value. We closed a 6-figure, I'll never forget the first time it happened. It's happened multiple times now. We closed a 6-figure deal. The very first call, the woman goes, I don't even know what you do. She's like, but I see your advice on LinkedIn. and I see it, and we need that. Like, great. And turned into a 6-figure client. So what our strategy has been, it's about give, slight ask every once in a while. If you look at my LinkedIn, you will be, again, like Troy, I want you everyone to listen to what Troy said before. Troy didn't even know what my company was. That's not necessarily great either, which means like I'm on some weird far end where like I need to like stop. I need to maybe every once in a while talk about Scaled. But, you know, for the most part, people, they will then look and say, oh, what does Jake do? Well, obviously he runs something around sales. It's obvious he's not like a, you know, one person consulting shop. Like, and so for me, that's a lot of what I, you know, what I focus on is I focus on value. And I know that as I add more value, my follower account grows, the more the right people, and then people come to us, or we reach out to them based on something that happened. You know, the other piece of advice I'd give everyone about, so one is like around content is I'm adding value 24/7, right? Go check out my feed, check out my posts. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The other thing is for a lot of you, and I don't know where some of you are at from a follower count standpoint, but you've got to realize this, that most of your audience right now, even if you do want to add value, is probably your previous coworkers and current coworkers. That's it. That's your network. You have to proactively grow your network, right? And so for me, you know, if I get into this here, how many of you have Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Sales Navigator? A few of you. I see a few people. Let's see, raise your hand, a handful. Okay.
How many followers do you have, Jake?
I just passed 50,000.
Sales Navigator, thanks to you, Jake.
Oh, you got it. There you go. Nice.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
All right, here you go. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, you hit me up. Yeah, I'll get you. Here you go. Here's, if everyone else wants it, you can get a free 60 days here. I'm dropping it in the chat.
60 days is worth $180 FYI, everyone. So do it.
Take advantage of it. But anyway, the reason I think you should all sign up for Sales Navigator, it's honestly worth it. Like you should pay for it yourself. Is in Sales Nav, I can build a targeted list of people, and I can go start connecting with them. I can connect with 82 people, relevant, perfectly tailored, the exact people I want to connect with. I can connect with 82 people in 12 minutes. 82 in 12 minutes. So if you have to be intentional, like again, you talked about brand, Troy. Brand doesn't happen. You don't magically, oh, I put out content and the universe picked me and said, oh, Jacob, you're now going to be this brand. No, you got to go make it happen. Like, so for me, especially, you know, over the last 2.5 years, you know, once you get 30,000 connections, you can't add more connections. So I can't do that. But now it does have to be, right? Like those other 20,000 followers, that means I'm not even connected to those people. That means they have to choose to follow you. But until you get to that, grow your network on purpose, grow your network with intention. And if you're putting out value add content and you're growing the network of relevant people that you want to, and you listen to what Troy tells you, then that's how you're going to close more deals, or that's how you're going to get more of the right people in your network. But yeah, that's, I mean, and again, I'm sure there's a lot of questions around LinkedIn, so we can go deep there. But yeah, that's been our journey, you know, and it's working, you know. And I think the thing that we do really, really, really well, I think the thing that I do well, is we really don't ask. You know, I don't pitch scaled 24/7. And I think so many, when you're growing a business, it can feel so counterintuitive, or it can feel egotistical. That's how I felt. I think the big reason why I used to only talk about Scaled up until May of 2018, I never talked about Jake Dunlap's value and opinions. At Scaled, we're doing this stuff because I thought that's what I was supposed to do as a CEO. And then I was like, nobody gives a shit about a company. They care about the human, a person. You know, it's interesting, you know, just think about like an SAP corporate page, right? I give this example all the time. SAP corporate page shares on LinkedIn about 30 to 40 times a month. Their employees share 11,000 times a month. Therefore, what's more important, to have a corporate or have individuals, right? And I guarantee those individuals get, you know, random sales rep in Brazil who posts on LinkedIn, I bet gets more interaction than a SAP corporate post does. And
you know, if they use tools to do that, there are corporate tools that encourage people to share content, or
Yeah,
do
but
they
they
do it?
encourage them to share them. That's the whole problem. Like one, and I don't know, Troy, you probably talk about this, man, but it's you should never be resharing content, and you should almost never be sharing links. Never reshare content, ever. There's absolutely no value unless you like want that person to see that you reshared it. Then then there's some value there. When you reshare, that's why
You're
these
referring to the
companies
value, the algorithm value of sharing. Yeah, there's very little value.
negative. No,
Yeah.
it's negative. Like the reason that your posts aren't getting traction for maybe some of you, as soon as LinkedIn sees a link in your post or a reshare, it immediately marks it as low value content.
Mhm.
Immediately. So the amount of people that are going to see that immediately goes to this small.
It seems pretty bad that they have the option that you could share someone's content to lower their value. Pretty bad.
They just want it to be easy. It's easier to click reshare, but that's why you get no interaction. You didn't put any thought into your post. You aren't adding actually any value.
Right, right. So if when you were reaching the 30,000 mark, did you stop and say, you know what? There's 5,000 people I don't want on my network. Did you call any of your early connections or anything like that to add more value to your network?
I do it now. Yeah, I basically what I can do is go again run a search in Sales Nav for like software engineer, right? Like if you're a software engineer, if you're starting your own company, I probably give you a lot of value. But if you're not, I'm probably not. So there's a lot of noise that happens over the years. So I didn't even worry about it till I hit it. And now I just basically like once every 60 days or 45 days, I'll go in and unconnect with a few hundred people that again fit that they're not interacting with me. They connected with me a long time ago, probably. I've been on LinkedIn since, late 2010s or 2000s. So I mean, I had 8,000 followers when I started in 2018. So I'd already had a lot of connections from before. But it's just recently that I've done that. But no, the issue now though is when you unconnect with someone, it actually does make them unfollow you, which is kind of weird because but it stops you from gaming the LinkedIn to do the follow to unfollow move. Connect to so
yeah, LinkedIn
I do it
a
more
lot of
so now.
changes over the last 6 months. Every 6 months to make changes,
Yeah.
And I remember someone says, "Hey, you need to check this message on your LinkedIn or whatever." And I go, "It's not there." The next day, it's there. It's just like, what's going on? So they're constantly making changes on how they're doing stuff, what's acceptable and what's not. So you said you build when you're building content. You said you do between 1 and 2 pieces of content a day, and you have a very large following, which is not typical for a number of individuals. But do you do any kind of promoting at all, or you just push stuff out there?
You mean promoting Scaled or myself or?
Well, I mean, like, do you do any additional work other than posting? The typical hashtags, posting content, adding value. Do you do any other additional steps to potentially have certain eyeballs look at your content the way you want to? I don't know what kind of thought process you have when you're posting content.
Yeah. Well, I can give you some strategies that our clients are using that are really killing it or working well too. For me, I do a mix. So I do a mix of video content. I do 2 LinkedIn lives a week, almost every week. One on Monday, one on Friday. And I do 2 to 3 videos a week, and then a mix of text posts. I don't do a lot of just image posts, but it's usually a video or text. Because video posts, like you said, Troy, it's about people get a chance to know you. They get a chance to interact with you. Well, they're not really interacting. That's why I like Clubhouse actually better now, because then I can actually like better interact with people. Like what we're doing now, I like this because, right now I'm doing a lot of talking, but, I'm happy to answer more questions too. I like questions. But I do a lot of different content types. I do, but candidly, what do I? No, hashtags are a waste of time on LinkedIn. Sorry, they are. Like nobody. When's the last time you went on LinkedIn and like, oh, hashtag HR trends? Never. Like nobody searches. Like LinkedIn's not a hashtag. When we analyzed data from 1,000 plus posts, and we found there's zero correlation between a post doing well or not with hashtags. So you can use hashtags if you want. I use them almost for like like an effect, like, hashtag FU email is one I made up yesterday.
What about mentioning people that you want to see the content?
Yeah, you can do that for sure.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Karan,
Yeah, it's great.
I'll tell you this though, if you mention people and at least 25% don't respond to it, the algorithm will go down. So just
What
like,
about-
yeah.
What about if you do it in comments?
Yeah, comments is better. That's what I was going to say too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I do. But again, like why are you mentioning people? Like that's what I wonder, like why are you really, like most of the time people mention, like I'm doing a webinar. So I did a post this morning where I'm doing a webinar a week from today about how to read an annual report. So Matt's a buddy of mine. We're tearing down. Home Depot just released their earnings report about a week and a half ago. And so we're tearing apart, like basically like how is a sales rep or somebody, if you want to know how to really read an annual report and then turn it into an account plan. And so I tag Matt in that because we're doing the webinar. I never tag other people. What's the point? Like maybe to your point, yeah, maybe if it's, I really want someone's opinion, but let's be honest, a lot of people are just doing it to try to get more likes or engagement. And that's, I try to not do stuff like that.
Well,
I just posted something about that this week, basically how somebody started tagging me and it's like, and it was something that had nothing to do with what I do, had nothing to do with anything I'd actually give input in. It's like, you're just trying to get my followers, and it's like, okay, that just, it pissed me off in all honesty, and I blocked the person.
I want to make sure
Rob,
that
I got to
Rob blocked him.
But here, Rob, here's what I do want to call out though. I was just talking to someone about this. I get tagged 2 or 3 times a day. I get tagged in something, and but my point is, I don't care. I'm like, thank you. Like cool. Like it's annoying. Like sure, I don't know the person or they're doing it for whatever, but like. I've just always had the mindset of like, fuck them. Like I can mute that person, but I like if I guess nobody's ever tagged me like well, that's not true. I mean, people have definitely tagged like consistently, but just I don't know. I'm like, I appreciate it. Thank you, John. And then I'll just mute them because you can go to your notifications and hit mute on that post. So I'm like, hey, why not? Hey, they're out there promoting my name. Like, go ahead, keep promoting it. I'll just hit mute so then I don't get the notifications about that post anymore.
Okay. All right. I didn't know about mute, but yeah, it was just, it was just one that was so random. It's like, this has nothing to do anything with what, and some of what he was saying, I was like, I don't agree with that.
Well, then that's a whole other thing. I did have that happen once. This guy made a comment about some website and I went to it and there was some stuff on the website. I'm like, where did this come from? And I'm like,
you have like animals and stuff and going on.
Get me out of here. No, I won't get into it. It was very politically charged. I won't get into any of the details for this crew, but it was very interesting. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then, sorry, I cut you off. Who was it down here? Yeah.
So what if the intention is that you want to make sure someone pays attention? So it could be a prospect and you want them to.
Love that.
So like you said, be intentional with your actions, with everything.
Exactly.
Not just this or that. Don't do stuff out of habit. He's saying that if you have a specific person, and
absolutely,
it has to be a high percentage of them actually replying. It could be a sign of respect. And so another thing I really like what Jake is saying is that, he doesn't subscribe to any of the negativity. He's like, rolls off your shoulders. And that is a sign of maturity that I need to learn myself, because I am so direct, so.
Well, it's right sometimes, right? And because here's my thing, like if someone's annoying, just click unfollow. My friends, just unfollow them. Why are you going to let that person ruin your day because some idiot thinks that they're an expert? And trust me, Troy, that is the first thought that pops in my head. I'm not like Susie Sunshine over here, right? Like the first thing that pops in my head is like, this person's a idiot, right? But then here's the thing. And so here's my rule, and all of you can steal this. If I find myself doing that twice in a week, then I unfollow the person immediately. If I see or if I'm like, okay, just let it go on by, but if it's like, I allow kind of everyone I don't know.
I've only tagged you twice, I think, period.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
And you don't want to engage with them because then that just perpetuates what they're saying. You don't want to engage with them because then they're getting what they wanted out of you. So you do exactly what you just said. What you just said is just, okay, I'll unfollow. Now that makes, and again, that makes, I did not engage with the person because it's like, okay,
I
I don't know where that's going to go, and I don't want to go down that path.
Sometimes I can't help myself though. I was talking to actually somebody, it's like, I can't help. I was talking to someone about this actually last night. I sometimes can't help but like, again, this goes back to, it's like, I can't help but poke sometimes. I'm like, interesting comment, Ted, like da. I can't help it sometimes, but I try to stay above it, to Troy's point, as much as possible.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Jake, hi, it's Alina. So you mentioned that you post twice a day. I don't know if you do it every day or not. Is there a LinkedIn algorithm that looks into how frequently you post? And is there a limit or a minimum as to how often you should?
You can't post. I'll tell you what here's what we have consistently found. There's definitely a time period. We're pretty sure it's basically 3 hours. 3 hours is kind of our rule. Never post more than every, like if you like do double, like 1-1, like LinkedIn will punish the second post. So it's like, but we found consistently, there's no, if you wait over 3-4 hours, there's no kind of negative effect, is what we've kind of found to posting. And you don't have to. I mean, look, for a lot of you, you might hear that, you're like, holy crap, like 2 a day. Look, I didn't start posting 2 a day. I got consistent where I posted 1 a day. And for most of you, maybe for some of you, it's 3 times a week. Like, that's cool too. I think the key thing that I've always had this view on content, that every post is a data point. And I think where so many people struggle with producing content on LinkedIn is they overthink it and they let their ego get in the way. And they're like, oh, that post didn't do, oh my God, people hate me, like that post sucked. But it's the same thing again, when I get a post, I had a post I did about VP of sales last week that got, 1,000 likes and a few hundred comments. And it's like, cool, data point. Like, and I know that now, trust me, I know this by now. Anytime I put up a post about what it's like being a VP of sales, it's going to crush. But I don't do it every day. I do it every 6 months because it's just not what I'm feeling in the moment. Yeah, go ahead.
So length of post. What have you found that works best? How long are posts range? How many words do your posts range in? What, like the shortest post, longest post?
Yeah, most of my posts that have done well are posts that are probably like medium long, like medium, like middle, like, how many characters do you have on like 1250 on LinkedIn, 1300, something like that? I think it's like 1,300 characters, something like that. Maybe it's 1,300. I can't remember what it is, something like that. But that's actually a good point, right? I used to always, the reason I don't know it is I don't hit the limit as much anymore because I know better. I know how to say less with more now because I've just gotten better as a writer. That's what it is, right? Like I'm getting my writing skills improved. And that's what I look at every post. I look and, oh, that did bad. Why is that? Oh, the subject, they're like the header, that sucked. Like in retrospect, okay, good data point. That was boring. So I would say medium. LinkedIn changed its algorithm last May. Yeah, just this last May to over focus on what's called dwell time. So at LinkedIn's algorithm, one of the main factors in it now is dwell time. It's the same thing as TikTok and Instagram are the same thing, which is basically how long is your post in view in a browser. And so, so even if you have a short post, but man, it's killer, then it might do well. But that's why you see what's called broetry. Do you know have you heard of broetry? Do you all know what I'm talking about? It's, I don't think I'm not like full.
No,
I use it.
But
this is new.
I know we're getting top of the hour, so we'll go over until Jake wants to stop. But I just want to be respectful for everyone's time. But I've never heard what
broetry. Oh, broetry. You don't know broetry.
Is, but not broetry.
So broetry is a specific way that you write on LinkedIn. That's like, I had an amazing, at 27 years old, I was punched in the face 30 times. And then you do and then you have like a space, and then you do another line, and then a space, and then another line, and a space, and another line. Now, there's part of that actually just makes readability easier. I don't know if you've seen those posts that have like 5 sentences like this, like those kind of suck too, right? It's like, wow, too many words next, so broetry is how you space posts on like LinkedIn to like talk about, something. So I use kind of elements
out of it. Imagine. Do you use emoticons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I use emojis. Yeah, it's just what I'm feeling. If I'll use them if I want to use them, and I won't if I won't. Like, I don't think about it. Again, we did it again in like that data analysis we did back. It was like the fall. Again, same thing. We found no correlation between a post's likelihood to go over 100 likes if it had emojis or not. So
yeah,
I think it's really personal. It's your vibe. You know, it's like, it's what's your vibe, and like, does it look weird for you to use emojis or not? Or
yeah, so your
I don't
style.
know.
So there are some questions in here, and I'm sure most of your videos are under a minute from what I see on LinkedIn. You may have some more.
Probably under 2. They're probably under 2 minutes. Yeah, probably under 2. I've been doing some funny ones. I've been collaborating with this guy, Alex Sheridan. And so we've been doing some funny ones that are like maybe 3 minutes or so, but they're entertaining. Like, they're supposed to be entertaining. Like, one is called Confessions of a Field Rep. You should go check. It's a funny one. It's like, I'm basically this like field rep who's like breaking down mentally of like being on Zooms and not meeting people. And I did another one that was like art versus science of sales. And, you know, so I've been doing some of those that are longer form just because I think it's kind of fun to just switch it up.
Yeah,
I'm in his creative crew.
Although that you have some fun time that you can kind of express yourself. So as far as, I think a lot of people, just from the fundamentals, we know that you don't edit your own videos and stuff like that. So my suggestion, like for example, this Zoom recording, I'm getting some videos out of this, you know, and because it's great. So I tend to have a longer format and chop up in smaller pieces. So what's your method? Yeah, what's your method as far as getting quantity of content out? You know, the easiest, the least resistant way of doing that.
Well, look, so the good part is LinkedIn over-indexes on text-only posts. The algorithm over-indexes on showing text-only posts. So the good part is you don't need to chop up much to do that. You can just have a thought. Like, maybe there's something we talked about today, and I'm gonna like, oh, cool, I'm gonna go ahead and now, you know, I don't know, like, write about whatever the topic is that I thought of from this thing. So you don't need to overthink text only posts, hopefully. And then, I've got a guy in the UK who basically, he takes my LinkedIn lives and he'll just chop them up into, 2 or 3 videos. And I don't know, like, what does he charge? Maybe like $400 or $500 a month or something like that. No, I don't know. It's not that much. It's maybe a few $100 a month.
Depending on the content. So do you have a flow of what type of content that's going out, like a strategy behind it? So it's really what comes out of your gut. What's happening today? How am I? What kind of sugary drink did I take? Who pissed me off? You know, I don't do anything.
That's kind of it. It's kind of it, dude. But that's what, like, I'm not one of those people like Joe, the same guy who does that. He schedules my Saturday morning posts and he schedules my Sunday. But these are posts that I've written or I've signed off on. And so, like, I have probably 3 to 4 scheduled posts a week. And so then the other 15, I got to run in a couple minutes too. The other 15 or 16 during the week are literally a post that I wrote in that exact moment. I literally wrote that post right then. And it's just a ritual for me. I get up in the morning and I write a LinkedIn post.
Question. So do you schedule some of your posts and you free ball the rest of them, basically?
Correct.
Okay, good. That way you have your bases covered, and then when you want to get a little frisky, you know what time to post. It's more 3 or 4 hour range of the previous post.
That's right. Yeah. If you look, there's a pretty similar, right? I post in the morning and then I post in the mid to late afternoon. That's just kind of my jam, and that feels good. And look, there's a random day. Maybe I'll put up 3 posts in a day. Maybe, you know what? Oh, well, I didn't put one up in the afternoon, but for the most part, I'm pretty consistent at 2 posts a day. But I would say it's more like there's probably 4 or 5 posts a week that are scheduled where I'm like, I don't have to think about it, but I like doing it. I think that's it. Like, I don't think you can keep it up. I don't think you can produce the quantity of content that I produce if you don't like doing it.
Yeah.
If you absolutely hate it.
You had to relieve some of these other jobs. So your hands are not in the cookie jar as much as it used to.
Shit, dude. Fuck no. Are you kidding me, dude? I got 30-something people now. No, man. Like, people nobody realized that. I'm talking about here about LinkedIn for 2 times. Dude, I gotta go run a company. Like, I'm running a company 98% of the time. LinkedIn is like the part of the job. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, dude, I wish it was like that. No, I think it's actually more for me. I like doing it. For me, I
so
like
it's a good part of your job. It's a good part.
Yeah, it's like fun for me.
Ice cream after dinner. Yeah, got it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's my ice cream after dinner. My LinkedIn. Shit, that sounds really sad. If my ice cream after dinner is a post on LinkedIn, but but I do enjoy it because again, like I'm really in it to add value, and I think that and again, and I also don't get too caught up if a post. Look, sure, like if a post does well, I'm like, okay, cool, it did well, right? But like I also, post does bad, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm a bad human. Nobody likes me, and that's most people, grown ass people, like. They can't take it. That's why LinkedIn people are so soft.
Or whatever
people can't hang. That's why so many LinkedIn people can't make it on Clubhouse because they're so soft. They can't like take an objection or someone not agreeing. Oh, I agree, Tim. I agree. They can't take someone having like a contrary opinion. LinkedIn, the version of a LinkedIn troll is a joke. Like these people are like, oh, so-and-so disagreed with me. Like, you're soft, dude. Stop posting. If you're that soft that you can't deal with someone saying that, like, stop posting. Quit.
Yeah.
Like it's like the first time I ran an Instagram ad. The very first day I woke up, I'll never forget, Charleston, South Carolina. And now, trust me, I've had plenty of troll posts, but this is the first. And I woke up, I was in Charleston, South Carolina. I woke up, I look, oh, someone commented on this ad we're running. And it's this 18-year-old kid. It just says, lame. Just lame. And I like
the one word sentences really hurt.
Fuck this kid, man. This little fucking kid. And like, but it was I'm so glad that was the first comment, because it made me like, oh, this is what you're signing up for. You're signing, if you really want to build a brand, you are signing up that people are therefore not going to like you or be jealous of you. Or if that's what you're doing with Troy, like that is what you're signing up for. Some people are going to hate on you from the sidelines, and they're going to talk shit about you behind your back, and fuck them. Like, I am doing this for me, like you said, my family, for my business. You don't like it over there, sales leader and whatever. He's like, Jake Dunlap, fuck you. Give a shit about what you think, sales leader in Charleston, whatever. So anyway, all right, dude.
My connection message has just changed. I'm switching stuff up. And I have what you call dry humor. And I tell them, I'm a nerd, but I might come in handy. But if you don't like me, that's fine. I don't have feelings anyway. And a lady from another company said, that is so, what did it say? Deprecating? And she's complaining. I said, and I looked her up. I said, oh, she's using psychology to say that I do bad stuff so she can do good stuff. I caught on that right away and stuff like that. So that's kind of a form of a troll.
It happens. It happens, man.
Yeah. So if you don't
I like it now. I almost like it now. I'm almost like, all right, cool. That's funny. All right. Anyway, next person. So I apologize. I do have to run. I'm running late for this meeting. Again, if y'all need anything, let me know. I hope this is helpful for everybody. Hopefully.
This has been an awesome meeting. I appreciate it. I know I'm the one that asked all the questions because I don't really have any feelings. I just go out and try to ask what I need to do to help people. But I really appreciate this, and I'm sure everyone else does. And I just want to wish you a happy rest of the day. And thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, everybody. Good to meet you.